Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Kenanga Investment Bank in collaboration with Bursa Malaysia. And this webinar is managed by Wellford. Today, we are very excited to be doing this webinar for you that is titled Stock Market Outlook for second half of 2022. Welcome, everyone. Now, a moment ago, you just watched a corporate video by Kenanga, and there's also a CSR project by Kenanga Investment Bank that I want to share with you. And there's this, the Humankind Project, Meals That Give. Okay, so for this project, Kenanga, our goal is to raise 50,000 for the cafe includes that is operated by the disabled employees. So we were asking kind souls here, if you can pledge a meal at 20 ringgit to help this disabled. This cafe includes that's run by the disabled employees, and for all the meals that you have pledged, right, Kenanga will match meal for meal to give twice its impact. So all these meals will be distributed to children in needs. So if you can do that, then of course that will be good to care for our society. So this is a CSR project run by the Kenanga Investment Bank that will aim to help disabled people and also children in needs. All right. So for every $20 that you pledge, Kenanga will match it meal for meal, yeah, to feed people in need. All right. So for this webinar, Stock Market Outlook for second half of 2020, we are very honored to have invited Mr. Ooi Kok Hwa to come and share with us what is the outlook like for the stock market and for the economy for the second half of 2022. Now that we are in June, so it's timely for us to review what is second half of 2022 in store for us. Okay, so my name is Shen Chu. I'm the moderator for this webinar. So as usual, disclaimer. So whatever you share on this webinar is only meant for educational purpose. So in no way that will give any recommendation for you to buy or sell any listed securities that we mentioned here. So if you decide to make any investment decisions, you're 100% responsible for all your investment risk. All right. So allow me to briefly introduce our speaker. And if you have been following CanTrade webinar for a while and you should not be unfamiliar with our speaker here, Mr. Ooi Kok Hwa, who has been speaking for Kenanga for many years. Okay, so Mr. Ooi Kok Hwa is the managing partner of MRR Consulting, dealing mainly with business appraisal, investment, and financial training. He is a chartered financial analyst, certified merger and acquisition advisor, and international certified valuation specialist. All right, so he has a lot of credentials up his sleeves. So presently, he is a licensed investment advisor by the Securities Commission of Malaysia. So welcome, Mr. Ooi, to our session.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good to see you here again. All right, so I just stopped sharing my slide, so you may go ahead.
Hi.
Can you go on the presentation mode? Right. I think you might need to drag the black bar to the side for a bit. Yes, fantastic.
Okay.
Can you go on presentation mode?
Presentation mode.
This is not presentation mode yet.
Yeah.
All right. All right, fantastic.
Okay. So, good evening to all of you. Okay. First of all, thanks Kenanga for giving me a chance to share with you. Okay. Today our topic is actually talk about the second half for this year. Okay. And of course, the key issues right now is that affecting the world market today is basically the Russia-Ukraine conflicts, and then we'll talk about the global Malaysia economy outlooks, and then of course the stock market outlook for second half of the year. Okay, a lot of times actually in my seminars, Jason says, I think Kenanga says that I need to review my forecast for last year, whether it's actually whatever I say is actually correct, not correct. So last year June, if you remember that I says that we are going to have this playing chess. So I believe I read through some comment. They say it's true or not. No, we're going to play chess face to face. Then the actual one, you notice that actually, in fact, we have the chance to actually to play chess in December, organized by MCF, Malaysia Chess Federations. So of course, you still need to wear a mask, but you're able to do face to face. Okay. This actually to review my forecast, because last year basically everyone worried about the COVID. Now today, right now, the main concern is of course the Ukraine conflicts. Okay, you notice that I use conflicts, not war, because if you look at you watch any movies, all the World War I or World War II, in fact, you hardly see that kind of the scene that World War I or World War II in these Ukraine conflicts. So basically, this actually is a conflict where involved in, some people actually term it as a war, but to Russia, they consider it as a conflict. Recent United Nations also label it as a conflict. Okay, because you notice that actually the way they actually they fight the whole event. You notice that actually not like the Afghanistan war or the Iraq war or the World War I or World War II. Okay, so a bit less magnitudes as what you see. Okay, and people deaths also much lower. Okay, now next question here basically is why the conflict happened. So basically, briefly go through is basically the whole USSR is actually 1945. You can see this actually belong to previous USSR. Lithuania, Latvia, Belarus, Ukraine. But after the dissolutions of USSR, then Russia is actually over here, and then start from 1991, 1990, 1991 onwards. You can see later on more and more countries the NATO's expand to the east. Okay, and when they start to expand, okay, initially they promised Russia to join, but later on you discover that they say that every country can join except Russia only. So of course the NATO is actually is military pact. So then military pact, of course you have the main enemy. So of course the main enemy will be the Russia. Okay, that's why you can see this original USSR, all these countries. Okay, then basically the whole event right now, you look through the whole Russia right now. Okay, basically the old is the new type of USSR. So may not be exactly the same as the previous USSR, but actually the new type of USSR. So where you have the Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, actually they have a military pact with Russia. Now it's actually on the, you see the Ukraine, number 6 over here. Okay, Ukraine is actually quite a big country. Ukraine roughly 5 times of Semenanjung Malaysia. It's not a small country. And this actually before the war happened. Okay, the Economies, just to remind you that this from the Economies, you notice that actually the borders actually is 190,000 soldiers from Russia side. Ukraine is about 200,000 soldiers, and you can see all these all the dot over here. Basically, these are all the the base, the NATO base, all aiming at Moscow. And you can see the Moscow actually, if you don't know where is Moscow, actually quite near to the Ukraine. So Russia is basically 16 million kilometers square. It's actually roughly about 2 times of the US. US about 9 million kilometers square, but the population is about 100 millions, whereas US is about 300 millions populations. Okay, about double of the size. But the populations, Russia only about half of the US populations. Okay, but the land area is actually almost 2 times. Okay. Now, this is actually to share with you that the military capacity is actually not from me. It's actually recent one that you can see Russia over here. So Russia, you can see the active military personnel that I highlighted in red color. Okay, it's basically 900,000, and you can see the army active personnel is about 280,000. So if you look through that, the early on, the 190,000. So roughly, maybe they are utilized. That's why some people say that actually, they already utilized mainly their active armies. Okay, but you must remember they have a reserve of the military personnel about 2 million. Okay, and I think another reason why I want to share with you this is you look at the China numbers. Okay, active is actually 2 million. Okay, so it's actually the one of the largest. I mean the highest is in the world already. Okay, and the active personnel is actually about coming to 1 million, about double of the US size. Okay, in terms of tanks, everything. So China definitely is not a small country. The size is actually about 9 million, but the population is about 4 times of the US populations. And you see the military capabilities right now, definitely not a small country. Okay, so my view here is basically today we talk about Ukraine, right? The conflicts. If you say that the relationship the US and Russia is, let's say, the worst means 1 to 10. 10 means the worst. So if you label Russia and the US, actually, the relationship really very bad, at the perfect 10, 10 or 10 right now. Then you ask me whether US and China relationship, I would say 1 to 10, 10 is actually the worst. I would say roughly about 9.8 to 9.9. In fact, if let's say you say the military conflict, I would say that the potential of the direct military between China and US even higher than Russia. It means 10.1 and 10.2. Why? Because very simple. The tension to China and Russia, that China and US even higher than Russia, Russia and the US. So because Russia and US basically, the US already say already will not intervene. Okay. Now, why I want to share with you this, as I said to you, that you notice that come back to the Ukraine conflicts where maybe they already utilized all, but recently they already mobilized the reserve military. So, but they have a 2 million there. Okay, so that's why my view here is basically don't underestimate. So far, if you look at the total, the army they involved in, basically is roughly about less than 20% of the total the capability. So that's why, and the way I see it, because today we talk about investment, so we want to know is actually when the conflicts will end. Okay, so the key thing is actually when you think the Putin actually will call it a day. Okay, now look at the military spending and nuclear warhead. Okay, US is actually about 700 billions per year. China is actually about 240 billion per year. Okay, so if you look at the Russia and Ukraine, it's about 10 times because Ukraine is about 5 only. But China with the Taiwan, because today we're going to talk a bit about that because that will be the potential black swan event. It's about 22 times. Okay, and the nuclear warheads, later also we'll talk about it. You must remember Russia is about 6,000, US about coming to 5,005. China is about 350. I don't think China actuals is 350. I think the actual number will be more than this. Okay, so I don't think it was 350. I think it will be more. Okay, so basically, you know that the potential nuclear war recently, the cover page of the Economies is talk about a nuclear war. So it's actually just to remind everyone in the world that it can happen. Okay, and the chances is there. So now come back to the conflict happen. Okay, basically the focus is actually on the Donbas area. Donbas area means from the Luhansk Oblast and the Donetsk Oblast. Oblast basically means the state. So basically the state of the Luhansk and Oblast and is roughly about 26,000 kilometers square. So you may ask, what is 26,000 kilometers square? So if you use Perak state, right, in Malaysia, Perak state is roughly about 21,000. So it means slightly bigger than the war for the Luhansk Oblast is roughly about 21,000. The Perak, so there is actually about 26,000. That means slightly bigger. So the Donetsk is also 26,000. So roughly about 2 times of the Perak states, like slightly bigger. Okay. So the Crimea Peninsula basically is actually 27,000. So the add up together is actually about 80,000. So, but the total Ukraine is actually about 600,000. So 600,000 kilometers square basically is equivalent to, because Malaysia total, the Peninsula Malaysia is about 130,000 kilometers square. So roughly about 4.7, about 5 times, 5 sebenarnya. So recently Zelensky said about 1/5, 20%, the area is controlled by the Russia already. So 20% means what? 20% of 600,000, basically 120,000. So 120,000, you can just imagine it. It's roughly about one Semenanjung Malaysia already controlled by Russia. So I ask you, Semenanjung Malaysia big or not? If you want to fight from the bottom part, basically from Johor, fight all the way to Perlis, if you drive, it's roughly about 7 hours drive or 7 hours drive. So you can imagine it's not a small area. That's why already 100 old days. Okay, so that's why I want to highlight to you that it's actually considered a big achievement already. Don't say it's actually not no achievement at all, because anytime a ceasefire happen, will be based on existing the area that control. So likelihood will be like the North Korea and South Korea. So means ceasefire, then they will not call the will not sign any peaceful peaceful deal. It's basically ceasefire only until right now. The North Korea and South Korea basically ceasefire only. Okay. Now, from originally, it's actually this the area controlled by only 1/3 of this total Donbass area. It means the Donetsk and Luhansk. But today, because they declare independence, so that's why the Putin says want to take the whole Donetsk Oblast and Luhansk Oblast. Okay, and you must remember the whole event happened actually 2014 until now, about 8 years. And you can see that before the war happened, already got 14,000 people died. So sometimes people say all this is all caused by the Russia. You must remember, Russia is not a small country. It's the biggest country in the world. It's one of 5 permanent member. And you must remember that those in the Donbass area that will get killed because of this 8 years, basically are all the Russian people. So you can imagine if let's say today it happened in other country, that means Mexico and US, and inside the Mexico got 2 states there. They're very near to the US. And these 2 states mainly are American, and 8 years got war that how many thousand people die. You think the US will wait until 8 years later to attack Mexico? My answer is actually this thing will happen in any other country, whether it's UK or Australia, Canada, all the same. War long ago already happened, this war already. It's just that Ukraine is just not a small country, it's a big country. That's why and they are brothers. That's why the way they fight is actually a lot of families inside the Ukraine. It's actually they do have a Ukrainian and the Russian. That's why they are brothers. So the way they fight is actually because immediately you can see 200,000 soldiers disappear. So that's why it's quite difficult, and they are all hiding in the big buildings. So that's why it's very hard to fight. That's why the first stage of the war, the Russian is true that they lost a lot. Okay. Now this actually to let you know that the linguistics of those Ukrainian and the Russian speaking. So then you may ask why I share this, because ultimately the diagram will be something look like this, especially if those you look at the language of the Ukrainian or Russian. So basically I'll say is ultimately if let's say the war drag a bit longer to maybe like the year ends or next year, then the green color one will be controlled by Russia. So it depends on when you want to end this war. Some people say, how can it be? All this the Western country will supply this weapon will fight back. Let I'll share with you why I say this. Okay, but you can see the land area here. Basically, the blue color. These are all the Ukrainian. Then Russian is actually about the red colors. So roughly in the whole Ukraine, roughly Russian consists about 20% populations. Okay, so that's why they are like they protect their own peoples. So that's why this war happens. Okay, and they have many chances to stop it, but NATO and US. If you Google it, types on the Ukraine to join NATO or EU. I would say it's easily more than 50 or hundreds link mentioned that NATO or EU says they will encourage Ukraine to join. Okay, but in the end, what happened right now is actually if you look at the EU, they say 20 years or so Ukraine cannot join the EU, and NATO don't talk about it. Okay, or says definitely don't have a chance. Okay, so basically, then you may ask why they don't the war happened. okay, and when the NATO's and USA will not come in to help Ukraine. Okay, basically as we said, today we are focused actually on the war. I mean the investor perspective. So not to say right or wrong. Okay, some actually really don't like Putin. Some actually support Putin. Okay, but our objective is actually we want to know, because when if the war ends, you must remember that the oil prices will crash and our plantation stocks actually, the palm oil price actually will drop. So that's the reason why the risk is there. Okay, you notice that our plantation shares, despite good results, the share price continue to come down. Oil prices weaken. Okay, recently up a bit, but it's actually in general actually weaken. Okay, so but you have a risk over there, because the moment the Putin says, end this war, then the whole thing will end already. So that's why then the next issue is actually when it will end. Okay, so basically the Putin says before when the war happened, he says that demilitarizations of the whole Ukraine, and then he says that Ukraine cannot join NATO, denazifications, all this, the control of Mariupol, and recognize the Crimea as a part of Russia, and then recognize Donetsk as independent countries. Basically, these 5 he already achieved the objective already. Basically, so to me, he can actually end anytime. Okay, but at the moment not. Okay, so and that's why the way the war actually progressed actually quite slow, but slow and steady on the second phase as compared to the first phase. Okay, this actually to show to you that the country in the world actually divided because of this. The country that actually imposed economic sanctions on Russia is roughly about 48 countries. So out of 200 countries, you can see a lot of countries, like including Malaysia, not really support all this. Okay, to remove Russia from last time the Human Rights Council. Okay, quite divided. To some actually want to know how to get the latest update of the Ukraine war. So my suggestion to you is actually a lot of you Google this liveuamap.com. liveuamap.com. Okay, over here, you actually type in the Google, then you can get these pictures. Okay, and this is actually live updates. I look at this, I refresh it and look at this link almost every few hours, so to get the latest updates. So you will get all this. The red color is actually the bombing. Okay, then you see the gun, that's actually the soldiers. If let's say it's Russia, the Ukraine, then you will see blue color. You hardly see blue color. So that's why my view here is basically whoever say that the Ukraine is winning, then you need to look at this map. Then you say, sure, no, this actually maybe not produced by Russia. To me, it's actually they have all whatever appear on the Facebook, whatever, then it will appear over here. Okay, they're actually quite fair. Whatever news, video clip, whatever, everywhere, anywhere, then you will see over here. They'll mention to you where. Okay, so they're actually really up to date and they're quite neutral. Do not side Ukraine or do not side Russia. But you'll see this diagram almost every minute. And my point is, this war, if let's say you miss it, this you don't have 1 week to don't look at it. Next week you see it, still the same diagram. Okay, basically means that the war that happened is roughly this size only. Okay, maybe at additional 1 or 2 states, not like the Second World, the First World War, Second World War. Okay, so that means it's quite controlled. Okay, so roughly about this size only. Then you say you can fight back or not? My answer to you is actually which day when you Google it, this map, you see the blue color actually can conquer back. None, almost none. Already 100 days already, none. So that's why the Ukraine actually losing. Okay, and basically this diagram is to show to you that the states that you've taken is actually Donetsk, then Kharkiv, certain part, then Zaporizhia and Kherson. Now they actually the intention actually want to take the other side as well, Mykolaiv area as well. So basically, and the Crimea actually taken already. So basically, these are the states. Okay, my point is actually this area, the Donbass area, the war now happening in this Donbass area. Basically, these are almost 50% of the Ukraine soldiers already. So if let's say the Russia able to conquer this Donbass area, the whole state right now is actually Donbass is about 90%, 95%. Then Donetsk is about maybe 70%. So if let's say they control this, the remaining 30% on the Donetsk, and 5% on the Luhansk. Basically, 50% of the Ukraine original, all this army, and these are all the well-equipped, well-trained, gone already. So basically, then there'll be one-way ticket all the way to Kyiv area, the main capital city already. That is about roughly about 600 kilometers. Okay, so my point is actually that if let's say continue to drag on in late until the Russia to control the whole area, basically a lot of the main armies by Ukraine are gone already. That's why even Zelensky says per day is 100 over 200. Earlier on about 600. People anticipate roughly about 300-400 per day. The Ukrainian soldier die. Okay. Why I want to share with you this diagram is actually to let you know that this area, the Ukraine that you see right now, is basically after the Second World War. Okay, they actually combine with the Russia plus the Ukraine, add up together to have today's size. Basically, it's actually divided to a few parts. Okay, and the key part here is basically Poland says that they want to send the army into the Ukraine. Okay, then why? Because previously those part on the west part of the Ukraine is actually belong to the Poland. You can see, from the Polish, the Lithuania's Commonwealth. Okay, the Kingdom of Poland. So that's why if you during the 2014, where the crash happened. Okay, you can see the Poland actually issue work permit about 300,000 mainly to the Ukrainians. Okay, you can see over here. So why they do that? Because previously those areas belong to the Poland, and now that Poland say, they say that they want to come in to help Ukraine without the NATO. But if let's say Poland come in, then the next problem will happen already. So the next problem means that will drag NATO into the fight with the Russians. So my view is actually, that's why, and then you can see the Ukraine hesitate, and some of them actually say that you actually when Poland come in, then basically those west part were taken by the Poland already. And to Poland, those west part taken by Poland because previously belonged to him. And then the intention is basically ultimately, then Ukraine can join with the Poland, and then don't have to ask, because the already part of NATO already. Don't ask to rejoin the NATO. So meaning to say the remaining part of the Ukraine actually will be absorbed by the Poland. Okay, that's actually the intentions. But the issue here is this will drag to the nuclear war. And you must remember that the nuclear, that the war, the weapons, okay, the warhead, all this, if you say a few levels of securities, a lot of levels already removed. That's the reason why the US intelligence, CIA, all this says that the Russia may use nuclear weapons. You can see that the Economies cover page on nuclear war, because the chances of using nuclear war very high. I can mention to you that can happen. Okay, that's why some people say that Russia will lose this war. My answer here is to you is actually, will Russia lose this war? Are you seriously think that Russia will lose this war? Just imagine today we talk of investor perspective. Russia if let's say the moment they're about to lose already, it means that all these long-term business, all this, they're about to lose already, then they're going to use nuclear weapon. When they use nuclear weapon, let's say assuming that one day you wake up one day, you read through the news, Russia used the nuclear bomb certain part of Ukraine. I ask you, what do you think of stock market? Leave it out one time, Bursa, KLC, leave it out 2 times, leave it out 3 times. What do you think of Shanghai market? What do you think about the Hong Kong market? What do you think of Nikkei? What do you think of Dow Jones? Okay, so all crash like mad. So that's why I said to you that this type of black swan event can happen. Don't say cannot happen, can happen. So if you are long-term investors, you're given this type of situation right now, and the US intelligence quite accurate. Why quite accurate? Beginning of last year, December, CIA say what? They say Russia will invade Ukraine. Okay. January also say at least 3-4 times. What happened to the Zelensky? Zelensky said, scolded Biden, says don't provoke war. He said nothing happened in Ukraine. Then what happened? US actually evacuate all their people in the embassies. Japan also the same. Germany is all, everyone will evacuate. So key point here is actually now you look back on the CIA information. It's quite accurate. No? The US CIA is actually quite accurate. He says that will happen. So in fact, give warning 3-4 times. But why the US never share all this security information to Ukraine? To the extent Zelensky says before the war happened, he said nothing happened to the Ukraine until the war happened. So, or share with him also, he refused to read through. So I don't know who actually, any miscommunication between two of them. But the key point here is actually US intelligence information is quite accurate. And the US intelligence says that kind of nuclear threat is actually happening. So my view here is basically, in the conclusion here is, so already on the very high stakes. That means maybe I just guess only, maybe one button press already, nuclear war can happen already, nuclear weapon can launch already. So to that extent, so that's why the Economies cover page this week's talk about this nuclear war. So, and this threat can happen because the Poland actually want to do it, the army want to come in without the NATO. So that's why this war can extend to that manner, can drag the NATO in. Then things will be, I would say, going to drag will turn to very big, and then the threat of the nuclear war can happen already. So come back to the investment perspective. So if you are long-term investors, to have higher allocation of cash is getting, you should put more cash in your cash levels, because these are uncertainties actually higher, and the chances of this black swan event is getting higher. Okay. Now this is actually the nuclear warheads. So that's why the active deployed strategies is actually 1,000 over. So already at high alert level already, just to let you know. Now, people say Russia lose this war, but you can see the ruble actually dropped to about 60 level. Before the war happened, it's about 75. So are you sure Putin actually lose this war? So come back to the original question is when the war will end. Okay, so key thing here is basically, you notice that the ruble even higher than before the war. Okay, that's why if you look through, the Russia says ask the exporters don't convert it to the ruble and stay in the foreign currencies because the currency is too strong right now already. Okay, you can see the reserve actually before the war, okay, compared to the Crimea during 2014, now actually the reserves actually drop a bit only. And because of the war, because of high oil prices, actually Russia actually gained extra about 100 billion from the oil and gas this year, extra about 300 billion. I ask you how many Russian tanks actually destroyed? Maybe about a few coming to 1,000. Do you know what is actually the price of one tank? One tank is about 4 million. So 4 million is about 400, 1,000 of the tank destroyed. So basically it's a 4 billion only compared to the additional gain that he got. Okay, about additional 100 billion. So he's gaining. Russia is gaining. That's why he want to drag the war longer so that oil prices will stay high. Okay. Now the key issue is actually who actually suffering. The suffering is actually on the EU side, because all these refugees are now still about 4 million to 5 million. So on average, if you look at the last time, the Syrian actually, the refugees, the Syrians, the cost is roughly about 16,000 per year per person. And now all these basically ladies, kids, and old people, non-productive workers, now 5 million actually in Europe. And this actually, everyone over there in Europe basically create one jobless actually in Europe. So that's why it's a cost. That's why the drag down on the EU side, the economy. That's why EU, the economy will slow down and actually, may possible marginal or drop into recession possible. Okay, that's why the risk is actually very high. The slowdown in the economy, the EU actually suffer a lot with a couple with the high oil prices and gas prices. And now it's already in the summer. You need to prepare for the winter already. Okay, and some people say, the US actually the natural LNGs can support, and the EU going to reduce on the Russian natural gas. But you must remember, it's actually, you think they can within short period of time to replace 40% coming to 50% on this natural gas, and right now it's actually summer. Before that it's actually US only accounted 6%. So how to to store it, everything. So to me, if during summertime you're unable to actually stock up, then sorry, when it comes to in Europe, the autumns, okay, the temperature start to come down, so the consumption of natural gas will go to go up already. Don't have to wait until winter time. Okay, so that's why I think the problem actually in Europe actually will be very big, and these are the gas line, you can see, all to to Europe side. Okay, you think short period of time can replace it? I don't think so. I don't think so. That's why what happened is actually, certain country actually that import, then they other country they actually ban, stop from Russia. Then they ask those countries actually import, then actually sell to them the natural gas. Okay. Now, I want to share with you is actually, sometimes people actually not too sure. They say of the sunflower seed productions. Now, Ukraine, the whole world oil and fats, the sunflower oil accounted for the world 10%. Sunflower oil, and out of this 10%, Ukraine accounted for 50%. It means it's actually 5%. 5%. And because of the war happened, about the anticipate, this actually will go down by about 50%. So that means 2.5% of the oil and fats of the world will be affected. Okay, and you look at the sunflower production, where is it located? You can see the green color over here. Basically, these are all the war area, not the west side. It's actually on the east side, and these are all sunflower area. And because of the port being the wall there, the Russian stop, do not allow the port to go up. So that's why all these exports are affected. And if March, April until May miss out on the planting, the whole sunflower profit was 6 months only. So by come to the autumn times, basically no sunflower oil. Okay, that's why whatever the sunflower oil that you have is actually last year one. Okay, so if let's say this year not planting, then no sunflower oil. Next year those sunflower oil. So that's why the shortage of the oil and fats will be long. I will drag for quite some times. Okay, will not end that fast. Okay, so this is actually to let you know that the sunflower oil is actually, the Ukraine actually accounted about 50% of the total sunflower. So that's why 10% of 50% of 10% is actually 5% of total oil and fats. And because of the war, 50% affected, that means left only 2.5. So that's why the shortage of 2.5. Okay, and this is actually soybeans. The soybeans, basically, the west side of the Ukraine. Then the wheat part is basically, these are the area. You can see the wheat, really, these are all the war area. So definitely, and what happened to right now is actually, the war area, this area, basically these are all the flat land, and these are agricultural land, and that's why the war can actually move a bit further, and this not the high buildings, tall buildings like the Kiev area. So that's why however, those land area basically with a lot of landmines, so the equipment actually destroyed. That's why the production actually really affected, especially the wheat part. Okay, now I want to share with you is actually, the history just repeat itself. Okay, whatever things happens, okay, just let you know that this the Spanish flu. Okay, you still remember the Spanish flu last time the health ministers. It actually happened is actually in March 1918 to ended is 1920 March. So what happened after that with the high inflation? These are all the graphs actually inflation numbers. The following year, the inflation dropped, and actually the world actually dropped into recessions. So you have 1920 to 1921 recession, about 1 year. So all this historical event, you actually divided by half, about 6 months. Okay, and what happened when the inflation actually dropped with the economic recession? Dow Jones dropped by 50%. Dow Jones actually dropped by 50%. Then after that, when it actually dropped to recession, then economy recover. So 1921 all the way to 1929, the economy boom. Okay, after the war, after the Spanish flu, then the economy boom for about 9 years. Stock market jumped by 50% every year, about 5%. Within that 9 years, that's why it come to Great Depressions. Then after that, high inflation again. Okay, then go into the World War II already. Okay, World War II. My point here is basically to share with you is this: my view that our COVID's roughly coming to the ending already. Okay, that's why you can see things coming down already. Okay, and second part is actually the right now high inflation. History repeats itself. The very high inflation, right? And stock market actually plunged. So you say we got Dow drop 50%, but your tech stock actually dropped by 40-50% already, man. You can see from 16,000 to about 11,000 right now. Some of Nvidia, okay, some of the stocks actually dropped by, I think Meta dropped by, or says 30-40%, some actually 50%. So it depends. So overall, the tech sectors actually dropped to 40-50%. That's why my view here is basically the worst may be over for tech stocks already. If you ask me, then he says, what if let's say the inflation come out to be this tomorrow will be bad. Maybe these tomorrow numbers will be bad. I'm not too sure. Okay, because forecast last month is 8.3 US inflation rates. Then tomorrow people forecast 8.3 or maybe higher to me. But the key points, my point is actually maybe 8.3 again or maybe higher. I'm not too sure. Okay, given the oil prices right now, the gasoline price right now touching $5. So heating here is actually the inflation maybe still remain high. Okay, if you remember last year June, I mentioned in the Kenanga seminar, I says the Fed actually made mistake. Okay, what happened to the Fed? The Fed says, oh, nothing happens. Okay, the inflation is transitory only. If you follow my seminars, last year March I say this, last year June I say this, I say the Fed making big mistakes. Now Yellen admit they make mistakes. You can imagine 1 year ago already say this already. The Fed making biggest mistake. Okay, and in fact, increase interest rate, like mad. I say the interest rate we're going to increase it. Last year they say what? No, they're only going to increase interest rate in 2023. You see, so my prediction is correct. Okay, not one to say whatever. Basically, they're making big mistake. I last year already said it already. Okay, that's the reason why you can see the China actually to cope all this the tech sector, property sector because of all these asset bubbles. But you ask me, the China, the orange correction may be over already. Okay, on the way up already. Okay, and I will say that it will happen to the tech stocks as well. Okay, now US tech stocks as well. Now, hitting here is basically after this, if you have a look at the history repeat itself, then you're going to have a strong about 8-9 years, right? I said to you already, when you look at historical number, you need the numbers look at divided by half. So roughly about 4 years of good numbers. Why I want to share with you this because after this, you're going to have a Great Depression for 4 years. Okay, from 1929 to 1932. They say, I don't think the Great Depression will happen. My point is actually, why I said to you history repeat itself is because at the beginning part, I already mentioned to you that the war between the conflict between Ukraine and Russia is just the first part only. The key part is actually the US and China. Okay, when I don't think any war will happen right now until Xi Jinping get the third terms. But after that, you see the way the US continue to provoke, especially after the midterm election. Let's say the Biden goes on the House and Senate. Okay, so he had nothing to do already. So basically, he only taking care of the foreign affairs only. So that's why you ask me whether they will provoke China to attack Taiwan or not. This one, not I say on. It's actually, if you look at the Republicans, a lot of times, even written in books, actually, they say that ultimately China will take Taiwan. It's a matter of when only. Okay, so they will rather provoke China to take it right now. My point is, these Ukraine conflicts actually give the China a good lesson. Lesson means what? What even the UK, the financial chief also say this. No, I say, okay, ask to you. Not UK, the Hong Kong, the financial chiefs actually also say this. Ask the Hong Kong to prepare it. Basically, is once the US, once the China actually take use unconventional methods to take Taiwan, then US going to impose economic sanction on China, like sanctions the assets, sanction the foreign reserve, sanctions all. Their all the goods, whatever. So my point is actually is, you die, I die, everyone die, because the Great Depression will happen. Okay, now US can actually sanction the US reserve. But you must remember, China will take all the US assets actually in those investment actually in US, I mean in China. So some people calculated US may be able to sanction China's about 3 trillion. Then China may be able to sanction US assets actually in China about 4 trillion. So you die, I die. And China is actually 120 countries actually the main trading partners. Number one main trading partners. Number two main partners actually is about 90 countries, 70 countries. So basically, if the disruptions of all the production process, if you sanction it, all the products actually in any manufacturing, all throughout the whole world, all will be affected. So my point is actually, if that happened, just imagine, to just give you an idea, Apple's 80% of the products produced in China. So if you impose economic sanctions, then Apple's share price will 140, 30, 40, will drop to roughly maybe 30 levels. Okay, you die, I die together. So my view is actually the Great Depression will happen. That's why the US intelligence, US intelligence says by 2027, before 2027, these things can happen. So the China will take the US military to take over Taiwan. So my point is actually you ask me, I'll say it's not issue is will not happen. The issue is when it will happen. So if US intelligence says before 2027, so from now 2022 to 2027 is only have 5 years. So if you have buying unit trust, all this style of asset allocations, so this style, you have a 3-year to 5-year investment horizons. So that like this, that means the black swan event, anything can happen. Because you just wake up one day, you read through the WhatsApp, all this suddenly, die already. Okay, the US asked their embassy in Taiwan actually to evacuate. Right? When the US what happened in Ukraine, when they evacuate, means that it's going to happen already. The US intelligence actually quite accurate. Okay, so my view is actually, like I mentioned to my client, if that happens, US evacuate the people is in Taiwan, you sell out all your assets, clear all. In Malay called semua clear all, clear, because we're going to happen. Okay, that's why I said to you, the China and US, that kind of relationship even worse than the Russia and US. And Biden actually talked 3 times already, say the military come intervene. So to China, you maybe later on you retract it, the White House retract it, say no, the policy remain the same. When you say 3 times, you retract 3 times, China already, to China, you go into come in and intervene. So to China, the military to settle Taiwan issue is not the second option. It's actually the first option to me. It's the first option. The preparations there. That's why you can see everywhere the US say all this, don't provoke all this. Okay. So my view is actually the tension really very high. Okay. They're aiming each other's very high. Okay. That lead to the next part is actually the World War II, the World War III. So I don't think World War III, but will happen. Big country will not use the nuclear weapons, but conflicts will happen. Okay, military conflict will happen, especially involved in US. Okay. Now, so come back here. So to answer to the whole conflicts, basically is my view here is on the Ukraine war. Okay, likelihood the whole events will happen is actually may drag on the Ukraine conflicts will drag until before the roughly about November, the US the midterm elections, before or after 8th of November. So continue to drag on. Okay, because you actually anytime actually agree on this, then basically US the Democrat don't have to go through election really. So they will drag on. That's why the Putin actually prepare to drag on until next year as well. That's why continue to slow down on the fighting. But every day, it's actually inch out every day. 1 kilometers advance per day. So but long period is actually continue to advance. So basically, my point is actually the Donbas area, these 2 states basically will settle within roughly by end of July or August will settle already. Once settled already, basically you must remember that the oil prices basically will plunge already. Okay, that's why the plantation share also will plunge already because the objective actually achieved already. That's why key part is actually like I mentioned to my client, sell out all the plantation shares and oil and gas counters, because you notice that good results, very good profits, right? The share price cannot go up. So you remember, right? 2 years ago, okay, some sectors, one sector actually, the result very good, the share price cannot go up. The glove sectors situation that now actually happens when the result very good, but very good profit, but share price cannot go up. But in fact, it's coming down. Then you need to be very careful already. That means, or if all good news are all factored already, clear out all. Okay, don't hold already. Okay, buy other sectors. Now, next part is talk about FOMC meeting. So we have 14 or 15 these FOMC meetings. So what do you think? Okay, the likelihoods, the Fed actually says maybe June and July, until July will continue 0.5 increase. So 0.5 increase, okay, the interest rate will probably coming to near to 2% already. So my point is actually the Fed actually basically the strategy is actually to slow down the demand with all these high interest rates. Okay, if this meeting on 14 or 15, when this, if let's say they say they're going to slow down already on the increased interest rates actually in September or November, all this tech sector will rally already, because basically you will look through tech sectors actually, about the factor in all the bad news already. I know recently talked to one of my survey students. They says that this tech sectors actually, the second quarter actually appear to be, they're doing quite well. The orders actually increased already. So that's why be prepared. These second quarter results, they're going to announce in third week and fourth week of July will be good. So that's why and all bad news are already factored in really. That's why our sales on the way to recover. And you can see, the China, before the October, the third terms, so she go for third terms. You see the make sure the economy recover, everything recover. So they want to boost the economy. So that's why you can see the China tech stocks actually, Alibaba are going to go higher. Just now I read through one of the news. I think Bloomberg also says that maybe allow the Ants Finance actually to get listed this IPO. Wow, my view here is basically if this happen, then the Alibaba, the share price were going to go up higher already. Okay, so it just happened. I mean, I just read through the news. So that's why my view is actually, the tax, the worst actually may be over for tech sectors. Okay, and all factor in. So, but the key thing here is actually, the Fed actually, going to reduce the balance sheets. All this, the reduce actually this balance sheet actually will reduce the world liquidities. That's why they actually basically want to slow down, the demands. Okay, all this excess liquidity want to bring back. So, but my view here is basically the interest rate want to go up. Okay, and the whole things the inflation will until the demand actually slow down, then you see the inflation is coming down. So they also feel it ready. That's why they want to remove tariff on those tariff imposed on China products. So they also say I want to remove tariff recently already. So I believe that all this actually will, the moment it happens, then the China stocks actually will rally already. US actually will recover. So that's why all this may happen in the near terms or July or August. So I believe you're going to have a lot of positive news. Okay. So of course GDP is actually slowing down. Okay. US, the World Bank also predict actually slowing down. Okay, 2%. China is about 4%, 4.3%. Okay. So the key problem is actually in US, actually the inflation are able to slow down as fast as what they predict. Okay, so if the war drag until November, okay, then the inflation will remain high. But my view here is basically by once actually the Putin actually get the Donbass area already. Okay, so basically if they still continue want to drag on, then the Putin actually will continue to fight with them. That's why you see the way actually Putin right now, the strategy is actually to fight for long battles. So slow and steady. You bring in all new weapons, then you see the bombing continue coming. So that's why this recently, even though the 40 billion the US actually put in approved, these are all loan, not essentially give to the Ukraine. And out of this 40 billion, it's roughly about 10 billion only to the Ukraine. The rest are all to the allies, to refurnish to support all the allies with the weapons, all this. So that's why not really to Ukraine directly. So my view here is basically, if let's say they actually all these NATO countries and US and they continue to supply weapons, then they see it have no impact, unable to help Ukraine to solve this. That's why nowadays more and more voices actually says that ask Zelensky to accept whatever, just like same as the Kissinger recently says that just accept it and to cut off certain territory to Russia to stop the war as soon as possible. But at the moment, if let's say it happened, then US midterm election will be quite tough already. Okay. You can see from here that the inflations, interest rates will be 2-3% this year, then maybe about 3% next year already, 3-4%. Okay, these are actually the calculations. And that's why I mentioned to you earlier that the US inflation rates is actually tomorrow, whether it's actually 8.3, but consensus is about 8.3 tomorrow. But my view here is based on the US gasoline price of $5. You can see for $5 right now. I think recently surged again from $4 plus to $5. I think it's quite difficult. Okay, to stay. It may be higher than 8.3. Okay, I don't know. Okay, because recently there's some signs slowing down in other category as well. So hopefully we'll continue. Other category, other sectors, other categories will come down. So we'll bring down the inflation. Okay, because the gasoline still actually the one actually contribute to the high inflation rates of 8%. Because you can compare to the other sectors actually less. If you look at the US, the consumers, the kind of the sentiments are actually lower on the US. Okay, and Biden actually the approval ratings all-time lows. And the key points, or why I share with you the US bond rates, 10-year bond rates, basically is you can see from here that what happened is actually when the US increase interest rates, okay, then the bond yield will continue to go up higher. Then the moment the bond yield start to come down, when the bond yield start to come down, last time, June 2007, about 1 year later, then you're going to have a recession already. So that's why at the moment the US bond yield are about 3% already, right? It may go higher, but you must remember, the moment the bond yield start to come down, then you be careful already. That means it implies the recession is coming. Okay, so my view here is actually, I don't think recessions, because the US fundamental very good, but slow down is possible. But recently, the Dow Jones actually want to recover already. So I think it's actually on the way up. Okay, I don't think it will come down. Okay. After all, I mean, we are talking about the valuations getting reasonable. It's already 10 years average. Average levels drop. Average levels for 17 times. Then if you look at the Nasdaq also, start to recover. Okay, from 11,000s, and then these levels already coming to the valuations of the stable index PE rate about 20 times. To me, it's actually it's no harm buying the US tech stocks. Okay, factor in all the bad news already. I'm not saying actually it will not come down. I'm just saying that the valuation is getting more attractive right now. I still believe that US will not have recession. It's basically a slowdown. Okay, palm oil side, be careful already. That's why no doubt will be you can see recently start to have a lot of news saying that we allow the wheat all these plantations. I mean their commodity products actually to export out. Okay, so through the other side area, whatever. Okay, in the Ukraine side. So I believe that I think the peak may be over already. Okay, but it may not go down to low levels, but still good for the plantation planters. Okay, so look at the overall world economies. Basically, the world economies is actually economies the slowdowns. Okay, and US also slowdowns and going to revise lower to 2%. Okay, China also the same. Okay, the one actually doing well is actually India. ASEAN remains good. Next year actually very good. Okay, second half I expect China, US, slow down, but ASEAN actually remain good. So that's why you can actually consider buying China stocks and ASEAN like Malaysia. Okay, look at the US recently. The claim actually appeared to be slowing down a bit. but the overall job data actually is coming down already. So that's why the demand side actually slowed down. But US 3.6% unemployment rate is actually almost fully employed. So very good. US economy very good. But why the American actually don't like it? Because the inflation too high. Okay, so that's why you can see the consumer sentiments are all-time low, even quite near to the 2008 lows. Okay, so despite strong economies, the numbers good, but actually the people don't feel it because of high inflations. Okay, that's why GDP is coming down. Okay, because of high inflations. Okay, and the US dollar is too strong. Okay, to the extent I think the yen actually coming to 140, and some people say so. If I say 150, it's going to be some crisis actually in Japanese. Okay, to me, all countries like Malaysia also our ringgit drop. Okay, to me, weak currency is actually good. Okay, weak currency, but it's not too weak. Okay, but I think in Malaysia, I think we are still under well-managed area. But you see a lot of countries, the euro dollars, pound also the same, all yen also, renminbi also the same, weaken against US dollars. And these two strong, almost all-time high, and it's actually bad for US. That's why you can see that the US, those export base, say start to suffer already. So that's why I expect the things actually going to slow down in US. You can see the retail numbers, sales numbers. These are retail sales numbers. If you look at adjusted for inflation 8%, basically it's actually no growth at all already. Okay, because these numbers actually including the inflation numbers. So that's why things actually slowing down. Okay, because you're too strong on the US dollars affecting the exports. Okay, start to see already. These industrial production numbers also recently good, but you will adjust for inflation, then it's actually slowing down. This actually approval rating based on this, the gap of this, Biden actually likelihood to lose on the midterm elections. So that's why the likelihood to remove the tariff of China that they imposed during Trump periods, I think may happen soon already. So that's why the China stocks actually will rally. In US stocks also will rally. Okay. How about China's economies slowing down 4.8, but because Yang says they want to maintain 5.5, I think difficult. A lot of people also say about 4% this year, China's. Okay. But recently, the May actually start to recover in manufacturing orders. Okay. Then the China productions, the April number, May number actually not very good. Okay. You can see the sales actually, the March and April is actually bad, retail sales numbers. Okay. And this one actually, the US, the China's actually, the inflation rates. Okay. So 2% actually considered well managed. Okay. Then the renminbi wise to China's, the renminbi dropped to this level, still well managed, and China actually want to have a weaker renminbi so that they can export their products. So they don't want to have weak, strong renminbi. Given the Japanese yen dropped to this level, so China also want their currency to weaken because too strong, and then their products are not competitive. Okay. Then for Shanghai stock market recently going through corrections a bit, drop a bit, but to me it's actually on the way up already. You can see they actually this year basically is the 稳字, basically means stability. So until October. So my view here is actually China market actually this second half will be quite good. Okay. I do not rule out possibility. Your Alibaba, all this will go back to the at least half of the previous peaks. Okay. Then and the Hang Seng Tech Index recently show some up technically sort of uptrend. Okay, breakout already. So not for those actually miss it, not too late to actually buy China stocks, tech stocks. Okay. How about Malaysia? So Malaysia wise fundamentals are okay. So my view here is basically, you remember we actually the EPF money 40 billion, right? 40 billion over our GDP is about 1.4 trillion. 1.4 trillion is roughly about 2.7%. So 2.7%, this money dumped into the economy is actually in the second quarter, right? Yes, our second quarter results are going to come out in actually July, August, especially August month, when the reporting season will be very good. So that's why I expect Malaysia stock market will rally. Okay, that's why sometimes people say, Mr. Wee, each time I listen to you, you always say rally one. This one, you already know the first quarter results, actually you have Omicron, but second quarter, you know that you have 40 billion, especially, You can see everywhere traffic jam, Genting, packed. Want to sit down to gamble also no place. Hotel fully booked, whole May all fully booked. No? Some of them mentioned to me, holiday season also packed. So my view here is basically, no place to sit, to gamble. So I think everything's recover already. And plus this 40 billion, spur the economy, multiply effects. So that's why I think it's very good. The second quarter result. So the starting about second week of the August until month end, all the results were very good. Then will spur the second liners, third liners actually, in September. So that's why I expect the rally will come to August, September. Okay, then Malaysia, of course, the kidding is when will elections. I think unlikely to be August, September. I think likelihood maybe November. Like still this year, okay. And we're actually getting signs showing this really likelihood this year. Okay, so then kidding or external is affected because of the Europe actually slowing down. Then China earlier on actually slowing down also affects our external as well. Okay, but kidding or says our GDP should be able to achieve 6%. I would say more than 6%. Okay, with demand, everything open up, borders, economy open up, the sales actually will recover. But you have this noise. But as I said to you, the Ukraine conflicts are basically it's just that area only, not to extend to other area already. So slowly. So that's why well managed, and then notice that the attention no longer on that already. People start to forget of it already. So because each time whoever want to meet Zelensky, then Zelensky said, give me money, give me weapons. So who want to talk to you? Each time talk to you, you say, give me money, give me weapons. So that's why recently not many people want to meet him already, because each time you want to meet you, give me money. You don't give me money, don't talk to me. Or give me weapon. So that's why EU already says already, a lot of countries, Germany always says at least 10 years, 20 years, Ukraine cannot join. Our says cannot join. So my point is actually, what happened to before the war? For how many years? All this NATO and EU say promise ask the Ukraine to come. We are going to let you join. Okay, but what happened already? Then what happened to all the promise? Okay, that's why leaders actually very important. Must have able to see it. Okay, especially when you're actually near to the big country in the world number one land size like Russia. Russia is not a small country. Military-wise, actually, land ground army is actually number one in the world. Number two is actually China. US only good in actually in the marine and the air force only. So don't think actually Russia is a big country. Okay, so that's why if let's say the long missiles, then definitely the chances of the Kyiv area, the capital actually will be badly destroyed already. Okay, if they use the long-term missile and shoot Russia. So key part is actually we still have the geopolitical conflicts there, but affect all this. Other than this, I think everything, employments, the borders open will be good for the local economies. And you can see start recover on Malaysia industrial productions. Then manufacturing orders actually recover. Okay, and high oil prices are good for Malaysia. Okay, you can see the Petronas actually report good results, good earnings earning increase. So I would say I think very good. Malaysia will be good. The key part is actually we have from now anytime until you have a few months these periods. Anytime they will say the war ceasefire only, or about to have ceasefire only, the oil prices will plunge already. That's actually the key risk, including the plantation share. So to me, when you eat the fish, you don't eat the head, the top 20%, don't eat the bottom 20%. We eat the meat, the 60%. The top 20% leave other people to eat. The bottom 20% also let other people to eat. We eat the meat. So now you want to fight for when actually the war will end. To me, better let other people hold it. You after all you gain already. Okay. So kidding here, you must remember at the times the ceasefire happened and the whole plant will plunge already, including our plantation CPO price as well. Okay. So inflation, this actually official number is actually 2%. People say who say 2%? Collectively, yes, food prices, a lot of prices actually getting higher, but if you look at the basket of the inflation products, I mean the products actually still 2%. Okay, and Bank says actually about 2 to 3% of inflation numbers. Okay, and key thing is actually we increase interest rate already. If US could going to increase a few times, that's why banking shares the profits especially this second quarter result will be good, because this is actually where our maybe July maybe will increase again in interest rates. Then September, if let's say US increase again, maybe we come to November also increase another times. So basically, this whole process is called normalizations of the interest rates. Last time, after the financial crisis, Malaysia to take about 2 years to normalize the interest rate. So in this round, I would say roughly maybe about, because the US increased interest rate 0.5, 0.5, in order to maintain the gap, I think maybe within 1 year time, the interest rate will go back to 3% already. Okay, so with normalizations, so that's why banking shares the profit will be very good. Second half next year. Okay, and economy recover, the back loan will come down. Okay, ringgit, you ask me, I think should be okay. I'm not really worried, because we actually high oil prices, high plantation actually able to cushion down our government remain okay. Okay, weak ringgit is actually good for exports. Okay, and bond yield wise actually roughly that's actually the level 4% actually quite attractive though. That's why when attract some foreigners to buy Malaysian bonds. Okay, so last few slides, stock markets wise, I would say recently today drop again. Okay, so but if you look at the components, actually it's the plantation shares, oil, then you do have the glove. So my view here is basically it's actually normal, but I don't think it will drop to very low levels. Okay, roughly about 1,005. But I think once actually because we actually midterm 30th of June, actually window dressing will happen. So I think it will recover, especially towards the end of June. Then after that, the result come out in actually for second quarter, especially August time, the stock market will go higher. I still think that actually our KLCI actually will go higher to 1,006 before the elections. I think 1,006, 1,007. Okay, I still predict that the result out, the August result will be good. Then second liner, third liner actually will be good in actually in September's roughly there, August, September's. Then will be good for your elections. Okay, this year November, if let's say it happens, then all the way. Then the key part is actually the GE15. My view here is actually BN should be able to win no problem, but to get 2/3 based on the Johor results, I think with the recent high inflation, I think 2/3. Then if they cannot get 2/3, the stock market will come down after elections. So before election, the stock market will go up. Okay, before the feel good factor of BN all this. Okay, but if they cannot get 2/3, then it will come down after the election. So be prepared for that. Okay, so but I think overall still about 1,006, 1,007, no problem for until year end. Okay, so I finished all our presentations. Hi. Okay. Hi.
That is great. Thank you so much, Mr. Ooi, for sharing with us the stock market outlook for second half of 2022. So if you have any questions for our speaker today, you may write in the Q&A box here. We have okay, we extend the Q&A for a bit. Let's do it until about 10 o'clock. All right, so if you have any question, write in the Q&A box, not the chat box. Okay. All right, so the first question is by Charlie. If Russia wins the war, will the petrodollar regime collapse?
I think the oil prices actually will collapse. The moment the war ends only, there's any ceasefire, because it will not sign any peace deal, will be ceasefire. So the oil prices will plunge already. So
how about
that's
petrodollar?
Petrodollars. My view here is basically the dollars, I would say the holdings, I think the US economies, will slow down. So the overall, I would say is that actually, the oil prices, if you ask me, the US dollars, all this, I think will overall actually will slow down already. Okay. Basically one part of the the uncertainty is actually ending already. So don't have to hold dollars already. Okay.
Okay. We also have a few person asking these questions. So, some media has said that, Vladimir Putin has cancer. How credible is this information?
I don't think so. So that's why mainly come from the UK, one of the small newspapers say that UK, Putin actually got this cancer or this not well this, but I don't think so. You see, the Macron still call, the German leader also still call Putin, but they still call him, talk to him recently, they met him. So I don't think so. Basically, it's actually the he's slow and steady. Russia is making money. They're actually making extra 100 billion because of this war, because of high oil prices. Okay, some people say that Ukraine losing. How can you losing? Okay, you know that the India buying from the Russia actually at $20, $30 cheaper. You look at 120 minus $20, $30 cheaper. He's still selling at roughly $90. $90 before the war is only $70. He still make. And the war actually, if you're not about India not buying from Russia or buy from somewhere else, basically the overall, the demand and supply is remain the same. It's just that India have able to buy a bit cheaper only, compared to before the war. Okay, so the rest actually, who actually buying at a higher price of what's actually Europe. Okay, so my point is actually, I don't think Putin would have any health issues. I don't think so. Okay.
All
It
right.
looks okay. He just talked recently, give a speech only. Yeah.
All right. So could you comment about gold?
Gold prices, I think the peak may be over already. For short terms wise, peak may be over already. I don't think will go any higher from this level. However, you from now until the next 5 years, you have these China issues, either China and US, and this actually, this is actually the main one. The main one. In Mandarin, we say this is 主菜. Ukraine is actually the first dish, the main course is going to come out. So that is actually the big. We have this potential of this black swan event, and these chances of getting higher. So anytime that happen, then gold prices will jump like mad already. But you must remember, the Ukraine is 16 times of the Taiwan. Taiwan is roughly about it's quite small only. So I don't think the war will drag that fast. But the key issue here is actually US want to impose economic sanctions. Ask the NATO, all the European country to impose economic sanctions on China. Then my point is actually the world economy all die together. Okay, everyone die together. Just imagine the Tesla, about 40% actually produced actually in China. Then the Tesla share price will drop by 40%. So that's why I say to you, the sound of history repeats itself. The Great Depression will happen. And this anytime the gold price will jump. The gold price will jump. And this the issue here is actually the US continue to step on the China red line on the Taiwan. Continue to provoke. They want to be like the Ukraine, to provoke Russia to attack Ukraine. As I said to you, you Google it, right? Google it on the promise on NATO and US promise to Ukraine to join before the war. I'll say easily no more than 100 times as they say. Okay, but what happened right now? Okay, so they continue to provoke. Then they also want to use the same strategy to provoke China to attack Taiwan. So that's why, from the investor perspective, whether you agree, disagree, all these things, whether you agree with Russia or not agree on which side, or China, Taiwan, the key issue here is that from investor perspective, we must have cash, high allocation of cash. Even the whole gold can, then for the next 5 years. And what happened? And you must remember the US intelligence says by 2027, I believe what happened. Okay, because Xi Jinping 第3任, so he need to convince before we want to go for the fourth time. So he need to show some results. So the main objective is actually Taiwan issues. Okay, he want to settle it. Yeah, I believe he will settle it. Which method only?
Okay.
Using peaceful or non-peaceful way only. Okay, so gold price will go up.
Yeah, and you really think that the US is going to impose sanction on China should that happen? Huh?
I think so.
Okay, so of course it will hurt everyone, including the US themselves, because there are a lot of American companies.
Yeah. Because China today is the main trading partner for 120 countries in the world.
Yeah.
And the second main trading partner for another 70 countries in the world. So basically, either number one, number two only. So if any part of, if let's say your products actually do involve four partners, four companies, four process, before reach the finished goods. So if all these 100 or 190 countries actually have a high dealing with China, so any part that has disruption, the whole thing will be affected, right? That's why the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework basically is a talk about global supply chain. So basically, it's to solve this issue. No, if let's say any war happen, the supply chain must be not affected. My view here is basically this whole the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework basically is the talk about make sure the supply chain will not happen. But if you don't have a war, then don't have to worry. But if you want to have provoke China, then you have to worry about these supply chains. I would say will happen. Okay.
Yeah, definitely lah. Mr. Winterson, you commented on the oil price. You also commented on the plantation. So could you talk about other commodity sectors such as metals? You know, in Malaysia, we also have a lot of companies involved in metal, like such as steel, aluminium. What is the prospect for companies dealing in this area?
I think the steel may be able to recover because China economy is going to recover already. I think actually will recover the steel sectors. I think the overall China economy will recover from now onwards. Basically, what the China have done is actually to slow down the bubbles, make sure that that's why no one talk about the property bubble because it actually dropped already. No one talk about China tax bubbles, long ago gone already. So that's why now it's actually revive it. Okay? Because before, especially last year, the economic overheating in China, all the bubbles appear to be going to burst. So China managed actually to stop it, including the Bitcoin as well. Okay, to me, it's actually the game over for Bitcoin as well already. Okay,
Game over for Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is also over already. So I don't think we're going to go up anywhere already. US is going to come out with rulings on the curb on this. So that's why I doubt we're going to be able to come out to previous high already. I think it's gone already. Okay.
All right. Now, given this kind of really complex situation and also the outlook, we are at one hand, you warn us about a possible nuclear war that will happen within the next few years. And on the other hand, you also mentioned that, now could be a time to pick bargain in certain industry like technology. So what do you advise, what is your advice for investors to manage our portfolio? How much cash position should you think we should hold? Or how aggressive should we be, or should we be more defensive in these times?
Okay, very good questions. Basically, is the in Mandarin we call it say 五照跑马照跳. Basically, it means that we continue to enjoy the market rally, technology sectors rally, Malaysia, election play, all this, the economy good, result good, everything will be good. Then US, this second quarter result, I think the tech sector will rally already because not as bad as what they think, and it will recover. And then when they announce the third week and fourth week of July, also tech sector will recover. All this, so all this you just continue to enjoy the rally. However, you just put more cash in depends on your risk tolerance levels, more cash. And you must remember, the moment US says that want to evacuate their peoples actually in Taiwan, then you get the signal, you throw everything, don't want to hold. So that's why you can see the outflow of money from the Taiwan actually quite high, the outflow of money. So what happens? They know that the way that the way the US continue to provoke, they want China to attack the Taiwan as soon as possible. I think they're going to provoke. They're not going to less than going to be higher and higher. So then we wait. So my point is actually, you enjoy the rally first, but the moment anything happen, you just dump everything. Don't care everything good, fundamental, bad, just clear everything. Hampalang, clear, simple, clear side. Okay, so you just hold cash, and you know it's going to happen already. Okay, so until that happen, okay, not until the war happen, until that event happen, So you know, so some actually have the insider information, then you know it's going to happen already. So you know the US embassy, right? The evacuate a few weeks before the war, right? So you still have time, right? So if you sell at the time, still okay.
So which sector should we focus on? Yeah.
Right now, it's just every sector actually will recover. Every sector. So focus on the tech sectors actually will do well. The banking stock actually will do well. All the consumer sectors all will recover because you notice that the Carlsberg, Heineken's actually increase the price. The earnings will be good. Then Genting Malaysia, no place to park, everything everywhere. Then Genting plus all this Alzheimer, all this I'm not too sure. I think will be quite convincing. But they say actually today got some announcement. I'm not too sure whether further announcement on this Alzheimer products, all this. So, but basically the Genting is actually one of the world largest gaming stocks in the world already. So that's why there's gaming in US, UK, all this Malaysia, all this will recover. Then consumer sectors will do well with the higher prices, all past the consumers, and then with the additional 40 billion, all these multiplier effects. So tourism's rated, all will do well. So then overall will do well, except be careful on the plantation shares. The good result, but you notice that the share price cannot go up already.
How about oil and gas?
Oil and gas. Oil and gas actually be careful because you have you see the sum of in the moment you cease fire, the share price drop very fast. All this background, all this drop very fast. The one day it can drop a lot. So you really no chance to escape. Whatever you cannot escape as fast as one. So my view is actually, as I said to you, that let other people make the last portion. We make the overall, we make enough already. So same foundation shares. Okay. Then how about glove? I think like always, last few years I already say it's really. Sometimes I can see people comment on a negative or what I say this. Okay, you have to wait until the glove stocks when they report bad results or losses, then the share price instead of especially high losses, okay, because the pandemic is over, so towards the end already. So you have an oversupplies of the gloves, so the price that you see it will go down further because like all this top glove previously is about 85 billion, now actually will increase for 90 over 100 billion that count per year, the glove. So I would say that you must remember that the oversupply issue, not only them, everyone. So that's why until you see losses come in, I would say if the share price refuses to come down, then worse is over. Just like Genting, all this losses incurred by the share price not coming down already. Then suppose until that happen, then it's safer to buy. Okay, like Hata still incur losses, then share price come down, right? Okay, wait for a while, wait for another quarters, see first. Okay? But of course it's quite attractive already. I need to admit.
Okay.
But you don't know where's the bottom. So I said to you, the fish bottom you don't eat, let other people eat.
Okay, so Mr. Ooi, you were very optimistic about the Q2 recovery in the Malaysian economy and also the stock market.
Yes.
How about the US? Yeah. So with a lot of multinational companies like the US conglomerate withdrawing from one of the largest economy, Russia, will that affect their Q2 results?
Okay, very good question. First quarter result, you notice that you read through the details of the big companies, the announcement, basically do have impairments of the provisions of the Russia exposure, but already done is actually in first quarter already. That's why the second quarter you don't have this problem anymore already. Okay, so basically I think when the result out and we compare to the share price, I think they will recover already because whatever provision they need to do is actually all first quarter happen already. That's why the second quarter result will come out in the third weeks and fourth week of July. Will be good. Market will be good for US markets. Plus you have these window dressings, and overall will be good. June and next few weeks.
Okay. The next question is about the Klci Index. So Sam would like to ask, can you explain what happened to Klci Index lately when it dropped a lot compared to other ASEAN indices?
I think it's actually like so I said to you, like glove stocks actually, you look at the top glove, you look at the Hata, then you look at the individual, plantation shares, come back to the $25. So a few sectors coming down. the drag on the index. But you look at the banking shares, holding well, okay. But of course, the Naga also dropped a bit. But I would say other sectors that tax actually, holding there. So I would say that overall, I think depends on which sectors. But because we are earlier on, the plantation actually gained, then you have the glove, all this, so going through corrections. But once actually the stabilize, then I think it should be okay already. But you must remember that this actually the portfolio rebalancing, window dressing is coming soon already. So anytime the market actually may jump 50 point, that kind of things for window dressing. So that's why June times normally strong window dressings. Okay.
All right. So do you think that the US tech stock now still got meat? That's by Yup.
Will come down, is it?
Still got meat or not?
Oh, still got meat. Yeah. I think that's why I say all the bad news actually factor in already. That's why I don't think will drop further already. The US tech stocks.
Okay.
It should be on the way up already. Okay, all the bad news should be factored in already. Whatever you say, in fact, that's why I said to you that I understand actually the order actually increased for second quarter. So that's why we prepare that they're actually going to report not as bad as what the analysts think in the markets. So I think it should be, because the share price already factored in already. And any signs that the Fed says the moment, especially on the 15 and 16, that says that may slow down on increased interest rates only, all the tech rally already. Then the moment any ceasefire happen already, and then the tech stock also rally like mad already. So that's why anytime these things happen, you ask me. That's why after all, the valuation is actually not expensive. It's time to look at it and hold on to it. Okay. If you're not too sure, then buy the overall ETF on the tech sectors. QQQ, that kind of things.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ooi. Now, just now we look at the US dollar versus ringgit, and we know that ringgit has been quite weak recently, and US dollar has been quite strong. And if you look at despite the high oil prices and also high plantation CPO prices, ringgit still depreciate against many currencies. So if what you say is true, like when the ceasefire happened, the oil price will tank, plantation will tank. Reverse. So when ringgit cannot appreciate, against other currency in times of high oil price and high plantation.
That's why the key thing here is actually the moment the ceasefire happen or the Fed says don't slow down increase interest rates instead of not 0.5 already, maybe 0.25 only. Then you see the US dollars actually will come down already. So or the ceasefire happens. So that's why my view here is basically anytime things will be, because almost at the 1-to-1 with the euro, all this, I think the US the exporter actually cannot survive already. Some people say, I think McDonald's who say already in the export actually being affected, all this because the US dollar is too strong. Okay, so that's why the export actually suffering right now. So that's why I think will be affected because actually you're talking about your appreciate against all currency in the world. So I think it's the all-time high already. Okay, so I think anytime will reverse. I don't think with Malaysia wise, I think we should be able to hold below about 4.5. Okay, maximums. Japanese yen, I think they say about 150, 140, 150. Quite low already. Okay. Then to China, not worried because China want to have a weaker renminbi. Okay.
Okay. The next question is by Yong. Would Bank Negara be expected to further increase the OPR in the next quarterly meeting?
Yes, possible. If I say US increase, this meeting 16, 17, then I think 6, 7, the MPC meetings, I think will increase interest rates. I think so. Likelihood, or even delay will be in September. So as I said to you last time, it's actually it'll take about 1 year plus to increase 1% go back. So maybe we actually 0.25 a bit. Maybe we can drag to 1 quarter 0.25. US is a bit drastic because they actually want to slow down the economy. They actually on purpose to slow down the inflation. That's why they're doing all their best, including the remove tariff on the China products. Because on average, the US impose tariff on China is about 90%. China only impose US about 3%. That kind of gap. Okay, so it's just that the China may don't want to remove the tariff. It's just that US will need to remove it by themselves. Okay, so I think the main objective of the Biden right now is actually to lower down the inflation. So all these, I think, the overall, I think the US dollar moves a peak really against all currency in the world.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ooi. The next question is by Peter. If the US sanctions China and the global depression follows, will US emerge stronger after the depression and maintain the hegemony?
Because that happened is actually when the China take over Taiwan. So you must remember, when you calculate China economy, you need to take in the whole Taiwan economy already. Okay, if that happened, so then the gap will be even narrow. You know? Okay, Taiwan also I think 1 trillion plus. Okay, so my view here is basically, and then Taiwan is actually, it's quite a strong economy as well. So keeping here is basically, I don't think so. Okay, but you must remember that kind of provocations anytime can lead to the tension and potential conflicts or war, and then using non-peaceful way to settle the problems. That is actually the key problems. So if impose economic sanctions, then all that together. But you must remember, the China is actually the key. They have two inner cycles. So one is actually the internals. They have 1.4 billion. They have their own consumptions. Okay, just like Russia. If you Google it, the Russians, they internally not affected. No, the people actually, their living costs actually quite okay. Okay, so same as China's. So that's why, to me, I don't think so. It's actually suffering the US because you import product from China. So on average, the 30-40 billions per month. Per month. So of course, then on the current accounts, you can see 30-40 billion. So China's continued to gain. You import more products from me. Okay, so that's why if you impose it, then you immediately want to find others. The supply is actually will suffer. Okay, hopefully the Biden have the intelligence. But it appears to me that right now, so 3 times already says military want to support. But I'm not too sure. Okay, if you say 3 times already, people no longer believe what you say is actually true. Already. I mean, you say you're going to support, it means you're going to support, and China prepare for the worst case scenario. I believe that. So that's the reason why the tension is very, very high. That's why the meeting is actually in Shangri-La in Singapore is going to happen soon. Directly talk to on Taiwan issues. Seldom talk on Taiwan issue, but it's going to talk about Taiwan issues this time. So I think it's very high because of the phone line. They even though have a red line phone call. The US mentioned many times already, call no one picking up phone call when they have any tension happen. Of course, who will pick up phone call? No, if you call me, who want dare to commit to American debt? No, don't do promise no military what happens. So no one will call, so no one will pick up the phone call. So that's the reason why they need to meet in Taiwan, in Shangri-La, Singapore's I think next 2 weeks only. So mainly talk about Taiwan issues. Okay? Seldom talk about Taiwan issue, but this one will talk about Taiwan issues. Okay.
Okay. Now we know that the world and also the US, is debt ridden. Okay, we are saddled with a lot of debts, right? So because we printed so much money. So now, of course, the Federal Reserve and the central banks around the world want to raise the rate to counter inflation, and of course that will cool down the economy for a bit. So do you think that they will reverse this course and continue the easy monetary policy, since that the interest payment will be high if they keep raising the interest rate?
My view here basically is actually, then the moment the economy slow down, actually the bond yield actually going to come down already. So I don't think we'll go out further. Right now, of course, the US Treasury yield is actually about 3%. But the moment actually, the US economy slow down, the potential that kind of slow down economy or that kind of recession, the people more noises, you see the bond yield coming down. Then I think the potential, all those bonds actually will be renewed at lower interest rates. So I don't think interest rate will go higher. So I think we'll come down. The peaks are almost there already. Okay, I think this round, the way they increase the rate, I think should be able to put the brake on the US economy because it's too strong. okay, the demand pool or the kind of inflations. So they want to slow down the inflations. That's why you see the consumer sentiments all-time low, you know, even near to the 2008 low. That kind of way is actually this, because you just like last time now we say, oh, the economy very good, right? People don't feel it because of high inflation. Same thing happened in US right now. People don't feel it. They don't know vote Democrat. So if I say they cannot solve then if you continue to provoke war, then the oil prices will remain high unless the war, any ceasefire happen in next 1-2 months time. Then the oil prices plunge. Then the Biden actually, the inflation go down. Then the Biden actually may win. The inflation will come down. Otherwise, at this level, a continuous supply weapon then will drag for quite some times.
All right. I think we have overshot our time for quite a bit. So let's do one last question. Mr. Ooi, can you comment about the world food shortage issue? How will this crisis, affect the stock market?
Key thing here is actually, it's actually quite serious. Even though highlighted with many, World Bank, all this in US also the same. The wheat export, I think the Putin actually want to allow certain part the wheat actually to export out from the Ukraine. Okay, just that on the other side area do have the what they call it, the sea, the mines, all these sea mines. Okay, so actually not suitable for shipping as well. So that's why disruptions. So I believe that try to export out. So that's why you can see more nowadays more noises are saying that going to increase, allow the export out, all this. That's why I would say it's almost in the peak already. So I think should be able to cool down. If any ceasefire happens, will cool down the world supply, especially to African countries on the food prices. To Malaysia, I think we are no problems. You may complain or chicken price basically because of I think the fertilizer price actually increased. That's why and they curb on the maximum. So if I say allow it, but definitely the chicken, all the food prices actually will go up. But I don't think it's actually that bad as compared to other countries. So but other countries, I think they're doing something to curb it. Okay, but plantation price, the CPO price, I don't think will go down to very low level, but it will still about 4,000 levels, may come down to 4,000 levels. Still good for the planters. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ooi, for addressing this Q&A. I think this Q&A session has been very robust. So thank you so much for joining this session. So let me share with you our next CanTrade webinar. Okay, so the next CanTrade webinar will happen on the 30th of June 2022 from 8:30 to 9:45. So that is titled Kenanga Oil and Gas Sector Outlook, Understanding the Fundamentals of Black Gold. Today, we also commented oil and gas sector for quite a bit. So to get an in-depth analysis from Kenanga Kenanga Research, please register for this session, Kenanga Oil and Gas Sector Outlook, Understanding the Fundamentals of Black Gold, happening on 30th of June from 8:30 to 9:45. All right. And if you don't have a Kenanga share trading account, you may go to this link, which is www.cantrade.com/open-account-form to fill in your interest to open an account with Kenanga Investment Bank. So if you fill in your interest there, then Kenanga will arrange a friendly dealer representative to cater to your needs to open an account with them. All right. So of course, if you want to get some trading ideas on what to buy, what to sell, and what is the TP, what is the stop loss, you may join this Kenanga Trade to Win Telegram channel to get some trading ideas. All right. So the licensed investment advisors there are giving you some ideas about what you can do on a daily basis. All right. So these are the account opening and also the Telegram channel. So with that, I want to thank all of you here for tuning in today's CanTrade webinar. So hope all of you here have gained enormous value from this session for this market outlook for the second half of 2022. So thank you so much, Mr. Ooi, for sharing with us your insight and your research into this second half of 2022. All right, so we'll see you guys in the next CanTrade webinar happening on 30th of June for the Kenanga's oil and gas sector outlook. With that, thanks everybody and have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Mr. Ooi.
Bye. Thanks.